last week I did my first exhibition, and I've not had a chance to pop on and talk to you about how I got on. The truth is, I have just felt absolutely exhausted from all the work and everything this week, and I've just not really felt like I've got the energy to come on and chat. So here I am, and lots and lots of people I've got like lovely messages from people asking me how I got on and how it was, and bumped into people that have asked me, and that's been so lovely. And it got me thinking, because when people have asked me how I got on, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Like what do they mean by that? Like what is the measure of success when you're thinking about how well something has gone? And I kind of, like, obviously it went really well. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I that's what I've been saying to people, but I've always kind of prefaced it, what's the word, I've always kind of I don't know, whatever, but had to say, like, but I didn't sell anything. I'm not sure if when people are asking me, that's what they mean. For me, it's not important, but I thought it was, and that's really interesting. So when people ask me, how did you get on, how was your exhibition, what are they asking? Are they asking how many pieces did you sell? Are they asking, were you successful? Was it successful because you sold? What other measures of success are there for something like that? It's just really interesting. And if you'd have asked me before I did the exhibition, of course I wanted to sell my work. That's really important to me. I enjoy making it. The process for me is the most important thing. And now I'm beginning to love the sale part as well. I love the exchange, that somebody is going to have my work once it's completed and they're going to enjoy it. So I've enjoyed making it, I've loved it, it's been like my baby, and then I get to pass it to them and they get to enjoy it every day, and they get to have that love and joy from it, how I did when I was making it. And it's taken me a while to kind of realize that that's an important part of the process for me. So of course, going into the exhibition, I wanted to sell my work, and the fact that I didn't sell anything, if you'd have asked me before, I probably would have used that as a measure of success and said, well, I wasn't successful because I didn't sell anything. But absolutely, that is just not true at all. I came out of the day feeling like amazing. It was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. I completely surprised myself in how I was able to speak to people, have conversations, talk about art. I'm quite quiet, and I'm quite slow to get to know people and get to talk to people and feel confident in myself to talk to people. So going into something like that, I was nervous and concerned that it would be difficult for me, and that I would find it hard to start conversations with strangers. Like, that's just the truth of the matter. And I really did surprise myself, because I was able to have those conversations. I did like a little trick where I was listening to what other people were saying, that were on stall, that also had their own stalls, and I was listening to how they were approaching the public and the kind of things that they were asking, and that kind of gave me a few like little questions that I could ask them, like, have you been to any other parts of the festival, and what are you enjoying, and what other artists have you seen, and what art do you like, are you having a nice weekend? Questions like that started the conversation. The first couple of people I didn't approach, so it took me a while to get into it, but once I did, I just absolutely loved it. I had the best time, had the most amazing conversations, and so when I was thinking about whether it was successful or not afterwards, my first measure of success really was, did I enjoy it? And I absolutely loved it. I was buzzing, absolutely buzzing. It was just amazing. I'd put all this work in. I'd worked really, really hard to make my stall look fantastic, to make my art look fantastic. I was so proud of of how it looked, and I felt it was professional, and I think it stood out. And not like everyone's art was amazing in the room that we were in, but I did, you know, I felt for me like, you know, I'd worked hard enough that and presented it in a way that it did stand out. And so I was happy with that. That to me was success. The fact that I was able to overcome my fears of speaking to people. I had amazing conversations. I made fantastic connections. I spoke to the other artists in the room and made connections with them. So that was a huge success. And you know, I came out thinking, I absolutely loved this. So again, that was a success. Had I have come out and thought, this isn't for me, that would still be a success, because I would know that it was, I tried it, but it wasn't for me. Like, I went into it thinking this is going to be tough, like I'm not great at making conversations with people. And had I have not been able to do that, it might have been that I would try again, or I'd say, well, you know what, it's not for me, like that, this is not the way I want to sell my art. But actually I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So did I sell anything? No. Did that matter to me at this stage? Absolutely not, because I know that's not the end. It's not the end game. It's a long process. I only really started finishing my work in terms of like framing it and getting it ready to sell the beginning of this year in January. So we're only really a few months on from that. So to expect to go somewhere and like have a great sort of success rate in terms of selling is probably quite naive. And I think I was very lucky that the first time I did show my art, I did have good sales, and that was great, because that gave me a big boost at that time. If I hadn't have had that then, it might have been more difficult, and I might have had to have done more work in my head and in my mindset to kind of like encourage myself to try again. But I didn't have that. I had that initial kind of flurry, which gave me the confidence that people like my work and they do want it. So I think having had that at the beginning has enabled me to feel like now that my work, now that, because you know, I might not sell straight away, that's fine, like that's absolutely fine. I know that there are people out there that like my work and that will want it. So yeah, I just obviously wanted to talk to you about how I felt it went, and that's it really. I thoroughly enjoyed it, as I've said 100 times. It was really confidence boosting, and now I feel like I could definitely do it again. I know that I'd enjoy it. I ran this fantastic competition that everyone loved, which also helped me make connections with people when they came, because I was able to say, I'm running this competition, would you like to join in? And it was a really good way of kind of like engaging people and having that conversation, and also making myself memorable and giving me a way to follow up with those people afterwards. So that's all been brilliant, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've finished the piece this week that a young girl has won, and I'm excited to send that to her and for her to receive it and to put it up and be able to see it every day. So that's like another huge win for me really. So yeah, so it was really successful and I really enjoyed it, and how we measure success is an interesting conversation, I think, and something interesting to think about and kind of mull over. So I thought I would share that with you, and I will see you soon.